Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Kilohertz, and in this video I'm going to cover a fairly basic maintenance step on your car, which for the most part people find fairly straightforward. However, a lot of people out there have got no idea where you'd even start with this. Now I'm of course referring to swapping and replacing the main car battery, as well as resetting all the electrical systems afterwards. Now it doesn't matter how good you are with a set of spanners and if you know your way around an engine, how often do you actually ever swap one over? So in this video, in addition to going through all the steps required to safely swap the battery over, I'm also going to detail and go through all the steps required to reset your electric windows, reset your power steering on certain models, as well as clearing any ABS errors you may have. Now before you even start anything, you of course need to know exactly where your battery is located. This isn't quite as obvious as you may think. Depending on the model of Mercedes you own, it could be in one of many locations. Either under the bonnet, in the boot, or on some older models, even under the rear passenger seat of the car. If you have a good look in your car's handbook, and it should tell you exactly where you need to look. Now with the battery located, you're going to need to safely remove it from the car. Again, depending on the model of Mercedes which you're working on, there may be some trim which needs removing before you can access the battery. The car which I'm filming here, I needed to unclip the entire airbox assembly. Check your car's manual, which should give you instructions on this, if applicable. So first, with your battery free of all obstacles, it's now time to disconnect the terminals. Each terminal is connected via a clamp, which you'll need to loosen with a 10mm socket. Now it's vitally important that you disconnect the negative terminal first. That's the negative terminal. Now if you touch the positive first, then you're likely to give yourself a nasty shock. Carefully unscrew the socket until you can lift the cable free of the battery terminal. Be extra careful not to loosen it so much that you loosen the nut and it falls out into the engine bay. Make sure the cable from the car is safely moved away so it will not touch the battery again. Now repeat this entire process with the positive terminal. Also be extra careful with the positive cable and move it into a safe location so it doesn't retouch the battery when you're removing it. With both terminals disconnected, now remove the small breather pipe located on the side of the battery. You'll now need to detach the battery from its safety bracket. Most Mercedes have a plate holding the battery in place at the bottom front of the battery. To remove this plate, simply unscrew the retaining bolt which is holding it in place. This can be fairly tricky to do, so if you do have a shop magnet, make sure you have it ready to pick up the bolt. With the battery free of everything, you're now able to lift the battery out using its built-in handles. If you can, refit the terminal covers beforehand, taking care not to allow anything to touch the terminals whatsoever, including yourself. Once the battery's out, have a good look at the under tray to see if it's in good condition or not, or if it's rusty or has any evidence of acid leaking. So here we have the original battery which was fitted to the car. And I actually suspect this was the car's original battery in fact. This being a Mercedes OEM original part, you can see the Mercedes part number listed at the top left hand side next to the Varta logo, with Varta being the company who actually manufactured the battery rather than Mercedes. And next to it, an actual Varta battery. Now this is Varta's own battery which I purchased for a lot cheaper from a car parts store. Internally they're exactly the same battery, but externally it's got its own generic branding and casing with nothing to do with Mercedes. Now the reason why I'm showing you this is just to let you know that you don't actually have to source the replacement battery directly from Mercedes. It may be cheaper, not always however, to source the battery from your preferred car store or online retailer. Just keep this in mind when you're ordering a replacement. By going non-Mercedes this time, I saved myself £65 on the battery. Okay, so let's refit the battery into the car. When installing, remember to tuck the lip of the battery under the corresponding lip in the battery tray. This ensures that it will be held in correctly and also to line up the bolt holes. If the battery came with the safety covers over the terminals, keep them attached for now, as it will reduce the chance of anything accidentally touching either terminal when you're installing it. With the battery correctly positioned under the lip, you'll now need to reinstall the metal bracket if it was fitted to your car. Now this is pretty tricky, and once again I recommend using a shop magnet to guide both the bracket and the bolt into place. However tricky this part is, don't skip it. The last thing you want is a loose battery moving around in your car when you're driving around. Next, remember to connect up the mini breather tube on the side of the battery. It's now time to go ahead and reconnect the cables back to the battery terminals. The process is basically the reverse of removing it. Now just a reminder however, when reconnecting you must connect the positive cable first. Position it into place and firmly press down until it can go no further, ensuring that it will never come off. Once you are happy with its position, retighten the bolt. Now move over to the negative terminal. Now word of caution, there will be a small spark as soon as the two metal parts make contact. Do not touch them both when reconnecting to avoid a small shock. To avoid this, hold on to an insulated part of the cable or any other part which is insulated, such as this module box. Again, ensure that you've pressed down firmly so it cannot move, and then retighten the remaining bolt. Double check both bolts to ensure that it's not going anywhere and it's securely attached. Some cars are fitted with a red plastic positive terminal safety cover. If yours has it, refit it now. Now as soon as you reconnect up the battery, you may notice the odd sound coming from your car, such as a whirring motor inside the engine bay or the odd beep or so. Now this is perfectly normal. With everything back in place, double check that there's no movement in the battery whatsoever to ensure that you've tightened everything up correctly. It's now time to return any covers, trim or ducting which had been covering the battery before you swapped it over. So it's now job done in relation to the actual battery. However, many features and electrical settings in the car will have been affected by the battery replacement. I'll now go through how you reset all these systems back to normal. Okay, so here we are back in the car after I've just installed the battery. So what you want to do first is pop the key into the ignition and switch it on. Now that's a good sign, so watch out, the radio's come on. So this is a good sign. So first of all, the main thing is that the car started without issue. Now often some of these batteries have been laying in warehouses for quite a while and you may have the trouble to even start it, or you may need to actually charge up the new battery. So then what we want to do is check the dashboard cluster for any errors or anything. Luckily for me, it's nothing whatsoever. Now the most common error that you'll get will be the brake assist or the ABS error appearing on the dashboard, mainly on older models. So if this does occur, what you want to do is reset the steering wheel position. So to start with, get your steering wheel dead straight on and then move it all the way over to the left hand side, a couple of rotations as far as it will go. When you got as far as it will go, keep it held at that position. And then when you've done that, repeat the process overall to the right, 3 or 4 rotations round until it will go no further. And again, hold it over for about 5 seconds or so. And then when you've done that, put it back to the center position once more. And then if you've still got the error message on your dashboard, just take your car around the block for about 5 minutes or so. And then once you've done that, the error message should disappear off the dashboard. Now the most common issue that you're going to get is with the electric windows. So if you start to put the windows down, you'll see that they start going down in increments and it's not smooth. And again with the up. Now to fix this, like with the steering wheel, you need to teach the car what the full range of the window is. So you need to tell the car what the highest position is as well as the lowest. So with the window at the full position up, press and hold the switch in the upright position for about 5 seconds or so. And then release. And then move the window down You find that it still goes intermittently like so. And with it with the lowest position, you know the drill now. Press and hold it down. Again for 5 seconds. And when you've done that, put the window up and you'll find that it goes up no problem. And again with the down. Now unfortunately you're going to need to do this for all 4 windows. You can't just do them all at the same time. And then the other symptom that you may get once you reconnect the battery is that some of the convenience features like the auto folding mirrors or some of your settings with your seat and some of the interior climate features, which you'll need to reset again. Now on the brand new models these days, a lot of the cars have kind of a battery saving feature, whereas if you disconnect the battery for around 30 minutes or so, it will keep all your settings as long as you connect a new battery to it. But on older models, you may have to do all these steps which I've just gone through now. So that brings us to the end of the video. Now if you found this useful and you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. That does help the channel grow. And if you haven't done already, consider clicking on that subscribe button with bell icon so you're notified as soon as uploading new videos and content. As always, thanks very much for watching. Until next time, cheers.